Hello guys, back here with another video, and today we're going to be looking at the powerlifting history from 1982 up to 1990. So let's jump straight into it. I'll hit you with the biggest totals from each year. So we left off with Bill Kazmaier in 1981, totaling the first 1100 kilos. It dropped down in 82 to 1031, rose up in 83 to 1042. 84 it went to 1043, so a little increase again. In 85 it shot up to 1075. In 86 it went up to 1088. In 87 it went up to 1090, we're near that mark. 88, 1092, getting close. And in 89 that world record finally got broke by an 1115 total. And in 1990 it dropped down to 1102. So we saw an extra, in that 8 year span, we saw an extra 15 kilos be put on the world record total. And as well as that, we saw Ed Cohen be on the rise. He is known as one of the best pound for pound powerlifters ever. And some of his records he set in the 80s and 90s are still regarded as being incredible lifts. All these years later, when a lot of these lifters are lost to time, Ed Cohen has stood the test of time. His better lifts happened in the 90s, but still, in the 80s it was setting the standard very, very high. Obviously through that time period he was the best pound for pound lifter throughout the entire 80s. And just some facts that I found interesting. We know the IPF was founded in 1972, but many people will try and tell you the IPF was on the rise and it was the only federation and it was the thing. The IPF only had the equip division. And in 1990, so the last year that we're looking at in this, they had 382 equipped lifters, so they had 382 lifters, male and female, whereas the rest of the world, excluding the IPF, had 6,300 lifters. So the IPF really wasn't all it was meant out to be. It happened more with the raw boom, unlike most people will try to tell you. It was, however, the premier tested federation. It has always been that. You can't ever take that away from the IPF. One thing that was popular, while Raw had died, the Raw bench only was really still a thing, with the biggest bench of the 80s being a 285.5 kilo bench. Now that is an incredible number Raw, whereas if we take a look at the world record now, it's like 355 all these years later. That's not an incredible increase, when you look at the other lifts. That's all Raw. I'm not sure what federation it was done in, whether it was done in tested or untested conditions. I would imagine untested. And if we're looking at the female side, the females have really been on the boom. There was a 677.5 kilo total by a woman called Dawn Rochelle Sharon. I think that's how we say her last name, but yeah, that's a monster total still to today's standards. That would win a hell of a lot of competitions. Obviously that was done by a super, but to today's standards of supers would, that's a very, very competitive total. So overall we saw a lot of, I think the key thing we're going to see throughout this entire series is that the participation rate is going up. Started around here in 64 and all the way up. If we keep looking, the graph's going up like that. Participation rates are sky high. We see Raw, though, when I say it's well and truly dead, the best totals, I don't even think we're in the 500s, so it really wasn't something that was done. It was done more by women than men, but again, marginal differences, that's just a little nugget. But yeah, that about does it for today. Now for next week's, we're going to be covering 1991 to 1999. So for these, I've decided, I've hit you with a couple of stats and totals. I'm just going to hit you with stats. I'm not going to bore you with just like the best total from each year. Sorry if you're enjoying that, but it was just getting very monotonous for me taking my notes. So I've decided to give you more an array of stats. So we've got like the biggie, we've got the biggest totals, but we've got like, marquee moments in powerlifting history. We've got more focuses on them rather than just what was the biggest total of each year. So I thank you for joining me. 1991 to 1999 is next year's, And until next week, keep lifting that big weight.